My name is William Johnson. I grew up here in Taylor County. I went all my school years here. Me and my father used to come fishing down here back in the early 60s, late 50s maybe, when I was a youngin', along with St. John's River and East River. I don't remember ever seeing any mangroves, or if I did, I didn't know what they were until last year.
I grew up in South Florida in Fort Lauderdale and started coming to the Taylor County coast in 1978. I've met my wife and she's from Perry. She's been coming down here all of her life, but we've been coming to the coast off and on since '78. And about 2010, I started noticing plants growing in the salt marsh in the Spartina, and couldn't really get to them to identify them until a few years ago, and so now I see that the black mangroves have started to move in.
I've been coming down here since the late 50s and early 60s. We used to come down here, and my father used to fish, speckled trout fishing. In the late 60s and 70s, we came down here a lot with my buddies. We'd come down here in a boat, fish, swim, whatever. And on and on through the years, I'd like to come down here, but I've only recently seen the mangroves. These are black mangroves. And this is part of the root system right here. It comes up. And so things are changing, I suppose. The mangroves are moving north. They used to be limited to about Cedar Key on the Gulf side, but now they've come on up. Something's bringing the seed up, probably the currents. Major flow of the water runs from south to north along here out in the Gulf. We're not having the winters to kill these mangroves. What it is they can't take freezing weather, but we're not having the winters that will control the mangroves, so they're taking up root and populating the coastline here in Taylor County here in 2022.
We have an example here of the black mangrove. Mangroves are important as far as sediment control and stopping erosion. They also create habitat for birds, insects, and other creatures. They're much larger in South Florida than they are up here because they've just been reintroduced up here in the last few years. So you have shorter and more stunted plants up here. The range, actually there's three types of mangroves. We have the red mangroves, which we haven't seen up here yet. We found the seeds. But we have the red mangroves, and they grow towards the water. They have the big prop roots. We have the black mangroves, which are behind the red. They grow more landward, and then we have the white mangroves. The range for the mangroves, characteristically and in the past, has been from just north of Tampa Bay around to close to Cape Canaveral and that area. I I started being interested in mangroves once I started seeing them up here, and wondered how they were surviving in this in the far reaches of North Florida, and it just became very interesting to me when I started taking the Master Naturalist class with Victor Blanco. I decided that this would be a good project to enlighten some people about the advance of the mangroves into North Florida. I've seen them on this coast all the way up here, and on the east coast all the way up to St. Augustine. I haven't checked in Jacksonville yet, but they might be as far north as Jacksonville or farther. It'll be interesting to go over there and find that out, find out that information. Yeah, I started seeing the black mangroves in 2010, and like I said, I've been here since '78, off and on, fishing, diving, scalloping, and started noticing these plants growing up in the marshes, and I knew they didn't appear to be plants from this area. And so finally, a little later than 2010, we started taking some books out and identifying the plants, and lo and behold, they were the black mangroves, and here they are. They're very common along the shore now in Taylor County. They're getting larger. Cold is the only thing that is a limiting factor for the black mangroves. And the cold is, we don't have the cold winters as we had in the 70s and 80s. So I think that's the main reason why we're seeing the black mangroves more and more in this area. If you look back here on the backside of Piney Point, you'll see those dark green bushes out in the water. Those are the black mangroves, and they go on around, trail on around to the edge. You can see them across this marsh, and then there's even one with a bird sitting in it. But then they're scattered out through that marsh behind Piney Point and on to the next little island. This is the end of north end of Grassy Island, and you can see how the mangroves here have been established for a while. They're quite a bit taller than the small ones, and you can see farther into the island that the mangroves are even taller back there. So these are all black mangroves, no red ones yet, but they may be on their way. Mangroves that have come up at Cedar Island, out here on the spoil bank next to the canal, the entrance canal. There's just a few, but I imagine there'll be more later.